and not only are we talking about the mainstream press, but the advent of social media has brought in a large number of citizen reporters who often don't even know the facts. They often get the context wrong. They often speculate. They are not bound by whatever rules of journalistic practice are the ones we are seeking to bring to the fore, even within the mainstream of journalistic practice. And we are already saying that the mainstream of journalists have great difficulties and manifest great errors in the way they relate with this subject. Then there are the effects on the family and the individual. Okay, a person jumps off the bridge, and the newspapers carry his name and they carry his photo, and he may have a message on him. They carry it. They may even carry a description of where he lives. So it's not, the issue is not now just about that person who has harmed himself permanently. It is now about his family. And there's a stigma automatically attached to the condition, meaning that the people who live in his neighborhood become immediate subjects of attention to the press. The press, they go there, they say they want to do, they want to follow up on the business. Since they have an address, they go there and they start harassing everybody in the neighborhood. Of course, the key targets are the family members themselves. Okay, and you need to be sensitive and understand what is going on. Somebody or a set of people have just lost a person. It may be just a child, it may be it may be a breadwinner, it may be a mother. And you go in and you're asking intrusive questions and not showing any sympathy or empathy for what those people are going through. Those people they've been severely traumatized by that incident. And you are not recognizing that trauma. All we are hunting for is news. So those are the things that are currently, I'm not describing specious or remote things. Those are the things that are actually currently happening in relation to suicide and its handling by the press in our country and in many parts of the world, not just Nigeria. There's a stigma, then there's a victimization. People who are members of the family, the child or the wife of somebody who has killed, who has harmed himself, becomes somebody who is targeted and followed, and there are a lot of speculations concerning their relationship. Maybe she pushed him into it, maybe whatever, and it just clouds the water and makes life almost unbearable for the immediate family and for even the extended family of people who have been involved in an unfortunate situation, a tragedy. And the reality, the one thing that I need to put on the table at this point, which is also very evident in the book, which is part of what the main thrust of the book, is that suicide essentially is, whether it is completed, whether it is successful, as I put it, that bizarre way that it is completed, or the person does not actually die, but has just harmed himself deliberately. Almost invariably, there's a medical reason for it. Okay. The overwhelming majority of people who commit suicide have a diagnosable psychiatric illness. Often it is depression. Sometimes it is not depression, it is something else, or it's related to some other thing. So it is a medical, that means in reality, it is not a criminal condition, it is a medical condition. But the current pattern of in our society, and in most societies, by which suicide is brought to public attention is through criminal reportage. It is in Nigeria, almost invariably, it is the crime writer that covers the scene of suicide. The authors being very excited about this theme and wanting so badly to create change, even talk about the very word suicide itself and say suicide, it's like homicide. The side automatically implies that a crime, the side, that CID at the end, at the end of the word, automatically implies that some kind of crime has been committed. And all of this, we need to disassociate these implications from these words. They are recommending that you should have abandoned some of the descriptions entirely, which may not be very realistic. But you can understand where they are coming from when you say, because when you say suicide, it's like, as I've said, it's like homicide, it's a side, it is a patricide, matricide, all of those are negative, terrible things, and they are criminal things. So these are the things on the table. These are the things in the system. These are the things that we are living with currently in dealing with suicide, the matter of suicide. There's the matter of the law, which is very strongly focused in the book. Currently, the law in Nigeria, because it recognizes suicide not as an illness, not as a reason for ensuring a person sees a doctor or sees a specialist, but as a criminal offense, as somebody who has committed a criminal injury unto himself, even though that injury is to himself. So the person who attempts suicide but does not succeed, in quotes, by Nigerian law, as it is currently framed, should be hauled off to the magistrate, should be hauled off into the police cell and immediately charged to the magistrate for having conducted the criminal, for having carried out a criminal offense. And that is, it doesn't help matters. It does not. We'll see where they are coming from. It is very antiquated. It's a very antiquated form of thinking that we inherited from British law. But the British have since moved on and revised their mental health law and the way they see things generally. So they've humanized the law as it pertains to suicide. And we need to do that urgently. This is part of what this book brings to attention for all of us. So we need to take a medical, not a criminal view of suicide. All of this and many more are the reasons why a book on suicide along the lines that have been, as it concerns journalists, is very important. It's a very important project to be delivered into our space at this time. What are the actions that they are recommending? Again, I'm not going to go through the whole list. Just suggest just to get at the core of the logic that underpins their recommendation. They're recommending, for instance, a change in the language that is used for reporting. They're recommending that as I've said, that we see it as as an essentially medical issue, deserving of sympathy, empathy, and specialized attention, because that's what the evidence is, rather than the attentions of the criminal justice system. On the part of the people, the press are the bridge between the actualities in society, including the matter of suicide, and the general public. And unfortunately, right now, they're not playing the most positive of roles. And really, at the end of the day, this is the most important reason why a book like this is important, is necessary. And I believe this was what's at the very heart of the creation of the idea in the first instance. This is not new, and it's not even just about the issue of needing to have the press on the side of the mental health workforce is not new. Some years ago, when I was CMD of LASU, we organized a workshop for health reporters on the subject of mental health issues and the manner of their reporting, and how important it is for the press to understand these issues so that they could use the appropriate language and convey the appropriate message about mental health and illness to the public. After a long day of very positive interaction, they were very enthusiastic and everything. When it got to the matter, when we were trying to round up and close, and we were having some free discussions, one journalist stood up, and in seeking to describe some experience that he had, he then said, in my neighborhood, I saw some lunatics who, and he had said it before he could stop himself. The message of that, the implication of that is that some of these habits and some prejudices and some manners of thinking are very deeply ingrained in all of us because we come from this culture. And it is important that the people who are the linkage between the subject and the society themselves purge themselves of prejudice, both in language and in perception, so that they can convey a wholesome view of mental health and illness to the generality of the public. And that is even more important when we are talking about suicide. The people who are the bridge between the subject and society need to have knowledge themselves. They need to have the right attitude. They need to put themselves. And nobody is a clean slate. Everybody grew up in a society where people say very pejorative things about people who commit suicide, about people who have mental. So we need to deliberately purge ourselves of those things. Not say I'm fine. I'm not like that. We are all like that. So in having knowledge, in developing the right attitude, then we can become the appropriate vehicles for helping to manage the universal problem of suicide and keeping it at bay, or keeping the tendency down to the barest minimum in our society, which presumably is what everybody wants to do. We need to cultivate empathy. We need to be able to put ourselves in the heads of the other people who are concerned in a tragedy, and not just think about selling our newspapers using this most lurid, sensational headlines, but thinking, hey, if I sell this, what effect will it have on this family? We need to think, I'm winding up. Okay. Okay, yeah.
Dr.
I'm winding down. Hello, I can hear you. I'm wrapping up. Okay. So we need to, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, sir. Just a minute or 30 seconds more to round up.
I'm rounding up, yeah. Okay, we need to be empathic so that we understand implications. We need to decide, is this front page material, or is it just news that should be put in the body of the newspaper, so that not too many people pay attention to it? And then do we need also, in even reporting the news, to understand that when people see this, we let them know that if you are feeling like this, that these are the channels through that you can report to for it. That is, it become part of the preventive strategy instead of blowing things up and glamorizing them. We need to also let people know at every opportunity, including when we are reporting an actual scene, where people who feel like that can get help, can seek help and get it. In doing that, we are part of the solution of the problem instead of part of the enablers of negativity concerning it. And I think that is the purpose, that was the defining purpose of the two authors who put together this book. I commend their effort again, and I invite people to look very seriously at the contents. And of course, to look at the contents, you have to get the book, and then to see that they not only read and understand this themselves, but they spread the message and begin to implement it as it pertains.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lubile. We're grateful for your contribution. Thank you very much, sir. Very grateful for your contribution, and all of the things you've noted are very, very cogent. Thanks for the background that you've given about the book. Thank you very much about that. And I like the bit where you talked about the need for us to, I think it's just necessary for us to make some bit of noise around major issue. Definitely started a campaign about when we did our conference in 2019, and we intend to continue the campaign. But we have 98 people on board to that is absolutely important and very necessary. So thank you very much. We have the second reviewer in the house, and that is Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi. Can he be spotlight, please? Can the admin and co-host please spotlight Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi, please? Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can we please spotlight Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi, please. I think we have some bit of glitch. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can. Dr. Lugbile, are you still on? I don't know if you can, if people can.
Well, I don't think that Mr. Adeni, okay, there he is.
He's here, yes, he's here. So, please unmute him. Admin, could you please unmute him? Over to you, Mr.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, you have the floor, Mr. Adeni. We can hear you now. Yes.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Femi and Martins for a very highly revealing but also very important book, especially at a time like this. I mean, I remember in 2002, my friend Waziri Ado was in Harvard at that time for a program, a fellows Neiman program. And then I visited him and was sharing an experience with me that a classmate of his, a lady, just say, they were supposed to have a meeting and they say, I can't make it. I'm going to see my shrink. Shrink in Nigeria, telling somebody I'm going to Arrow. And he said the lady just said it like, I'm going to see my shrink. And this thing was so shocking for him. I mean, it's a culture shock for him. In Nigeria, you can't tell anybody you are going to see a shrink. I mean, in fact, that somebody is behaving strangely, you say Arrow. So issue. And because of that, we have unwittingly led many people over, pushed many people over the edge. So when a book like that was this, when Marcus told me that he was writing this book with his colleagues who are supposed to be a medical doctor, I felt elated about it. And when he told me, I said, yeah, I'll be able to contribute to anything like that because I've read a lot about mental health. And one thing I picked is not every wound that is visible. So it's not all the time. Most of the silent battles that we fight, there are no things that people can easily see. And that's why when you see a medical doctor who drive himself to Third Mainland Bridge, park this car, and jump into the, it's not normal. In the world in which many of us grew up, it must be one witch somewhere. But it's not any witch. These are medical conditions that we are now only we are not able to understand, especially in our society. And the more we read books that can explain, the better our society. That's why I commend Femi and Martins for a wonderful work. I've read the book and I've read I read the manuscript and I've read it again. And I think it's a book I would highly recommend for especially for a society like ours. And I hope people in positions of authority to push this kind of narrative will help. But I commend them for the effort. That's all I will have to say. It's a very good work that I think I need to hope, and that's why I came this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi, for making your presentation very brief. Yes, it's definitely a commendable book. Bear with me one moment. Just want to spotlight and take the spotlight off from. Can the admin please remove the spotlight from Mr. Adeniyi and make me the spotlight? Okay. We just have a little bit of technical hitch. One of the things that we need to lead with. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm just going to read from, I don't know if you can see me, I'm using two different screens. I don't know which one you can see at the moment. Okay, thank you for spotlighting that. Unfortunately, I don't have a pretty background here. I'm just going to read quickly from the reason why we need to all get a copy of this book. This book is absolutely important. I love the way the chapters have been set up because it actually gives us a historical background about suicide, and it is not just suicide as a context of Nigeria. I know that I said earlier that, yes, this is a book that the content is not just for the context of Nigeria, that it transverses outside. But however, I love the fact that they've actually done a historical research. And that's why we need to break the barrier. We need to break the break the barrier, remove the challenges we have around conversations around mental health. And I like the fact that Mr. Adeni talked about he's surprised when his colleague had said they were going to see their shrink. Yes, it's because for a long time, it's a cultural thing that we feel that mental health, mental illness is a taboo topic that we shouldn't talk about at all. So page 6 of this book, and I'm hoping that we'll all rush to get a copy of this book. This is it right on the screen. Page 6 of the book actually talks about the cultural perception in Igbo land about what suicide is. And I'll just quickly read this. It says, by completing suicide, especially by hanging, the individual automatically loses all rights and privileges as a native kinsman and as a human being. Thus, he or she loses the honor and the respect accorded to a human being. He is denied the sympathy done to a person who died a natural death. It is a taboo to see the corpse and worse still to touch it. Anyone who sees him in that hanging position spits at him rather than weep for him. The person either walks away silently or raises alarm or warns people from coming close to see the corpse. Isn't that disgraceful? And when I say disgraceful, I mean the fact that when people feel that when their family member or anybody they know is going to be subjected to this type of behavior, if they disclose that a person has died by suicide, would it not mean that people will keep quiet about the issues they go through? Would it not mean that families would hush about the form of death that their family members may have died by? This is a conversation that we cannot just stop for today. And of course, as we go on today, we're going to see a lot more. We're going to hear a lot more. Our next item on the agenda is interview. We're going to be interviewing the authors. Can the admin please spotlight both Martins and Dr. Femi, please? If you could just spotlight them. And I'm just going to read their bio because I think it is really impressive. It's not, please don't spotlight Dr. Olubile. Remove the spotlight from Dr. Olubile. It's Dr. Oluwatayo. And also Femi that you spotlight. Spotlight Dr. myself and Martin. So we're both on the three of us will be on the will be called now the hot stand. Can you spotlight Martins? Thank you. Spotlight Martins as well, the three of us. Thank you. And I'm just going to read a little bit bio on Dr. Oluwatayo. Dr. Oluwatayo is a fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists and is a consultant psychiatrist and the medical director at Lakeside Hospital in Bedfordshire in UK here. He's also the president of Good Treat Healthcare Ikorodu. And this is the first purpose-built. I think if I could unmute everybody, I probably would say we all need to give a round of applause to Dr. Oluwatayo. If we can't physically do that, obviously because we've all been muted, can we just, if you go to the bottom right of your screen, you see the reaction. If you could just put a clap there. Two excellent to put their professional knowledge in a book for us, just, one gentleman said somewhere that one of the ways in which we encapsulate our knowledge is when we write. It is absolutely important for us to write, not just for our knowledge to be up there, for us to talk about it and we forget, but it's when we keep it in a book format. So Dr. Oluwatayo, he is one of those who built the first private psychiatric hospital in Nigeria. He's an award-winning graduate of the University of Ibadan. And he's an international editor for Prime Medical Journal, UCH Ibadan. And he's also published a lot of books on a lot of journals and a lot of papers on mental health. He gives a lot of lectures on. And of course, we have Martin Sifije. Martins Ifeje is the health correspondent for these day newspapers. Is currently heading the health beat. One of the key things that Dr. Lubile mentioned, and it's also been mentioned in this book as well, is the fact that at the moment suicide reporting is a duty that has been given to crime reporters. One of the key things that we're pushing, a topic that should be covered, correspondent, crime and suicide still but Martins is he first worked with the Nation's newspaper, and I know that Dr. Lubile in the forward in the book had mentioned how he loved his approach and his perspective on health matters. He's won a lot of awards. He joined the This Day newspaper in 2015, and currently is a fellow of the ICFJ in Washington. And he's written a lot of stories that have influenced policy interventions, especially the health sector in Nigeria. And with us today, with us today on the platform, interviewing these two our latest authors in the house. The latest authors in the house, we have Adesua Omorua. Can we please spotlight Adesua? Can we please spotlight the four of us? If the co-host of the admins, if you could just kindly spotlight Adesua. Adesua is going to be the one who will be taking our authors, our latest authors, on the stand. She's going to be asking them some hot questions. Over to you, Adesua. I don't know if Adesua is on the screen. Over to you, Adesua. I'm spotlighting you now.
Thank you very much, Lade. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time I'm done introducing myself and moderating this session, in the next 15 minutes or so, about 22 persons would have died by suicide. And that's according to the WHO latest report on global suicide estimates, which says one person dies by suicide every 40 seconds. Good morning, my name is Adesua Omorua, and it is such a great honor to moderate the panel of the esteemed book authors on such a germane issue that affects our country, Nigeria, greatly. Congratulations to you, Dr. Olufemi Oluwatayo, and of course, Martins Ifeje. Martins and I have been colleagues for a long time, reporting from the health bit. This couldn't have come at a better time when the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of economic, social, political, health, and mental havoc. But to set the tone for this conversation, let me begin by asking both of you why you decided to write this book. But Dr. Olufemi Olutayo, you start first. And I'm also intrigued, and I'm sure the 101 other participants would also like to know why the name The Morning After. Dr. Olutayo, to you.
Thank you very much, Adesua. And thank you all for honoring our invitation to the book launch. It's a really great day to finally launch our book. As Dr. Olubile said earlier, this book has been in the making for quite a while. So it's taken us a long journey to get here. Why did we call it The Morning After? It's a very good question. I think a lot of people have asked me that. Indeed, somebody in this house, where I am in my house, said to me that the name Morning After doesn't do any justice to this book. Having gone through it, the person is, anybody that knows my house will know who that person is, a young boy. And he said, I asked him, I said, what should be the title? And he said, oh, the title should be The Truth About Suicide and the Media. I said, wow, that's a good one. So The Morning After basically is a title we came up with when we were thinking about how to reflect the message in the book. We want, when journalists and reporters are writing, to reflect on the content of the report. So the morning is like when you reflect in the morning, you wake up in the morning, you reflect, look at what you did yesterday. What is the impact of what I'm writing on people, on the family, on the society? You know, it's just to reflect on it. So that's why we call it The Morning After. Nothing to do with the women type of thing, yeah? Thank you.
Okay, and then to you, Martins, I mean, as a journalist, why was it important for you to write this book? Why did you write this book?
Okay, three things. First, there's been a WHO guideline for suicide reporting, which I'm sure before now, very few journalists know about it in Africa, especially in Nigeria. And between the last 4 years, 264 suicide cases have been reported in the media between January 2017 to this time, I think to last year, in ending of last year. And if you check those reports, none of these guidelines were reflected in those reports. And then these guidelines has been there. There's a reason why these guidelines have been there, to ensure journalists don't fuel suicide. There's a specific way you should write on suicide as a journalist in order not to fuel it. And WHO thought this much and then gave a guideline to it. But we know some countries have been, they've been using these guidelines, but we've never used it. And then I think that's one of the major reasons why we thought of, okay, let's bring these guidelines home and then find a way to domesticate it, do stories, do researches around how our reporting has been affecting the society generally, whether positively or negatively. But if you check those stories, those 264 stories, you'll see that we have done more damage than good. That's one. Number two, I'm sure we all know there are old mental laws in Nigeria. We still have some bizarre laws in the country. Dr. Femi Olugbile just mentioned a couple of them, where we criminalize suicide. In suicide, where suicide spots, where we have suicide spots, you get police come there to see if it's a crime scene and all that. Whereas in the actual sense, there are health issues. So these we want to bring out so that while reporting suicide, you look at the health angle. You look at why did this thing happen? Rather than, for instance, you see a journalist who reports on suicide, call it somebody commits suicide, somebody did this, then you interview the police, you interview. Why doing this? Why not also interview a health expert? I'm sure if we continue to do these, people will subconsciously begin to know why suicide is actually a health issue rather than a criminal issue. So we thought it's best to bring this together in a book.
Thank you very much, Martin. And you mentioned something very important. You talked about research. And so I want to take you back to Dr. Oluwatayo. In our climb, we know that data is not readily available. So what was research like into this book? What was the experience like?
The book has a lot of research evidence. Many of them are evidence from WHO studies and from studies in Nigeria. Believe it, there are a lot of people in Nigeria doing great things. We have a lot of professors, many academic departments, so there are a lot of studies. What we don't have is enough data in terms of government data. For example, in the UK, you have the coroner's register, you have the police data that has things around suicide. Those things are lacking in Nigeria, but in terms of the academic studies, there are a lot of people doing great things in lawsuits, in UCH in Ibadan. There are a lot of our colleagues doing a lot of studies. So we know there are studies there. However, for this book, one of the way we did this study is to actually interview families. Martin was able to interview families of people who have been bereaved from suicide, so to get some really raw information and experience from their own perspective about how they coped. So it was an investigative aspect to the book. And of course, I mean, we look at data from other countries, like I said. In terms of the evidence that the way people report, the way journalists report suicide affects, has an impact on the population, i.e. in terms of copycat suicides, in terms of impact on families, the evidence is there. I mean, there are a lot of studies. There's a particular study that was conducted in 1987, I think, in Austria with the Vienna subway. It's a very famous study where the media guideline was issued in Austria, and the suicide rate went down by 75%. Because people were advised to use suicide guidelines. And actually there was a time they said they shouldn't mention the word suicide in the report. And so the evidence is there that imitative suicide is very common, particularly also with celebrities. I mean, that's a massive one. We know that when the celebrity dies and many people that follows them, they actually like to do what they did. Unfortunately, many people are very vulnerable. And particularly young people, they're very vulnerable, they copy them. But when we're talking about media reporting of suicide, it's not just about the imitation we're talking about the impact on the family as well, the family of the bereaved. We're talking about the impact on the general society at large. What does it say about our society? What can we tolerate? How do we treat people who are vulnerable? How can we sit down and read a newspaper where they describe in graphic details how somebody has died in a hotel room? I mean, I found that really difficult to understand. We are a civil society. We should be civilized. I mean, there's something that we shouldn't be doing. So I think it's really important, a bigger picture to it. So the evidence they're all in the book.
Okay, so I have a two-part question. I'd like both of you to respond to this as briefly as you can. And I'll remain with you, Dr. Oluwatayo, first. So what is your message to the public and journalists? What sets this book aside from other research and replicated information out there? Why should this be the Bible of suicide reporting for Nigerian journalists?
Thank you, Adeso. That's a really important point. The reason why this book is different from other books is that it's a book written by a psychiatrist and a journalist together. So I'm not just sitting down in my house and writing a book and say I'm an expert. Of course I am an expert, but I'm not an expert in reporting. I'm an expert in mental health. So a collaboration between two professionals from different backgrounds drag the message home and saying, look, this person is not just telling you, it's also coming from in-house as well. So it gives it credibility. In addition to that, we have a clear guideline. We've stated there that this is what we think you should be doing. In many countries, there are organizations, each the publishing houses, they get together, they have rules and regulations about what they should be publishing. There's an editor's code. There is a media code. In the UK, they have IPSO, Independent Publishing Standard Organization. So in Nigeria, that's not there, but each organization, they need to regulate themselves. If you don't regulate yourself, the government will regulate you. But we don't want a situation where somebody will regulate the press. The press freedom is so important. We need the press to do what they are doing. They are the fourth realm of power. You know, in Nigeria, we had a lot of great journalists who fought the military. Dele Giwa and all these chaps. You know, they did great things. There are a lot of great journalists doing work right now. So we don't want the government to regulate the press. What we want the press to do is to put their house in order and self-regulate. And the way to do that is to have guidelines, to have codes of practice. So we think this is the beginning of a new conversation about the press self-regulating properly with clear guidelines on what should be done and what shouldn't be done. And we are ready as a mental health organization to partner with them. Nobody wants to gag the press. That's not the point of this.
And Martins, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. You're a member of the realm of their state. What sets this Bible apart, this book, The Morning After, apart from what we have before?
Okay, so, let me first start with the title, because it leads to your question, The Morning After. When somebody dies through suicide, the next morning, what happens? What happens to the families? What happens to the society? These, the media drives. First, somebody dies through suicide, and then you give a graphic description of how the person died. You even begin to put some conjectures together on your own on why you think the person died. Maybe the person had a heartbreak, is unable to get a job, you know. Then you put this together and you say this person died because he had a heartbreak. The next morning, what happens? You've ended up destroying something dear in the lives of the families of those who have died. Then for the society, when they read this, there are other depressed people who are also reading. When they read this, they will say, oh, okay, my boyfriend also broke up with me. So why can't I also take my life? And then by so doing, they also believe, oh, if I take my life today, I might just find my way into the press. There are so many people who think finding their way into the pages of the newspapers is like an achievement. So when they dies and then they find their way into the press, it's like they've achieved something. So that morning after death, after the death of the person who has died, what happens to the society? What happens to the families? I'll give you an example. There's one of the families we interviewed in Iwaya community in Lagos, I think somewhere in Yaba or something. The man narrated how the media was explaining every detail of how his son died. To the point he brought out newspaper. I think this happened like 2013 or so. His son died in 2013. He brought out old newspapers and he told me these newspapers, he has never read them. He's unable to read them, but he just can't throw them away. The little he read was the one he read on Facebook about his son, and everybody is now a journalist. So people even put the suicide notes on the internet, put the room where the person died. So he was unable to read those newspapers. But of course, his wife and kids will read them, and that will remain in them for a long time. What we should ask ourselves as journalists, was this positive for the family? No. For the society, is this positive? The answer is no. When somebody dies through taking sniper, you even see where a picture of a sniper is placed beside the picture of the person. What are you telling people? That you can actually kill yourself through taking of sniper? So these are some of the things that Nigerian media has been doing. Sometimes we feel we're trying to do something positive, but at the end of the day, when people read the stories, what have you actually done? Before now, I used to also have that error on my part, but sometimes now when I write about suicide, I try to look at the positive area from it, de-emphasize on what method the person used, and most importantly, de-emphasize on reasons you think the person took his life. Even if somebody say, I took my life because, I want to take my life because I lost a job, deep down, that's not the reason. There are a series of events that will lead to somebody taking his life. The person only picked that because that's what his mind could carry. But this we can change. And that's why this book is very, very important. And for me, like what Dr. Luatayo said, if I just sat down to write the book, I'm not a psychiatrist. But now we have a journalist from the media angle, then we have a consultant psychiatrist from the medical angle. If we put these two together, this book is not just for only journalists. I'm sure policymakers will also see reasons why they should adopt some of the recommendations in this book. We thank God Lagos State government has started doing something around it, but other states are still lagging behind. Even the federal government is still lagging behind. As we talk now, there's a mental health bill that has been with the House. I'm sure that should be over maybe 8 years or 9 or 10 years. They've not been able to pass it because they probably are still having, maybe only few people still understand what why we should change these laws. In the countries where we took these laws from, they've all moved on. They've all changed their laws. I'm sure we're still using some lunatic act or some other old laws. You understand? So that is what actually drives this book.
Well, thank you very much. I think we can all agree that this is a very symbiotic relationship between a consultant, a reputable one, and a reputable journalist who has been writing about the subject for many years. Congratulations once again. And I think the message, the food for thought we are all taking from this is that as the media, we have a direct impact in reducing or increasing how people take their lives from what they see, that's the TV, what they hear, radio, and what they read, the newspaper. Thank you so much. Lade Olubemi, back to you. Do we have Lade or do we have more time?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Great.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm having some bit of challenge here. I've got two devices on, and just like we're all kind of straddled with now. Can you please spotlight me as well? For the admin in the house, if you could just kindly spotlight me. Thank you very much. Our latest authors in the house, both Dr. Olufemi Oluwatayo and Martis Ifiji and Adesua, you've done a fantastic job. Thank you. Just a typical broadcaster, you handled that very swiftly. Thank you so much. I'd just like to acknowledge the presence of some distinguished, all of us here are very distinguished, to be honest. We have 111 people, if not more, because people have been coming in and out. Can I be spotlight, please? Can I be spotlight now? Thank you. So, we've had some distinguished people who have been in, who have been out, and thank you for those who have been with us. We have an extremely distinguished guest, and I'll tell you the reason why I use the word extremely distinguished guest. He was the first person that joined at 9:44. I actually looked at the time that he joined, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him later. But before we do, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of my former lecturer. He taught me in university, Professor Olajide, Professor Adewale Olajide, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Ekiti State University. If he's in the house, we'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure if you're still here, but I did see your name come up earlier. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Oluyemisi Ogun, who is the Chief Medical Director of Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Yaba. Thank you so much, ma'am. You've done a lot. She was actually at our suicide prevention conference that we held in 2019, and that is the Nous organization in Nigeria, alongside some other organizations in Nigeria. Acknowledge the presence of Professor Abiodun Otekbayo. I'm not sure if you're here. Professor Abiodun Otekbayo, that's the CMD, the Chief Medical Director of University College Hospital, Ibadan. Dr. Wale Lagudoye, I've seen you. I know you're somewhere. I've seen you. Thank you so much for being here and for honoring the invite of our latest authors. We've got Dr. Michael Dada, Rosalind Sonny, who is Rosalind Sonny Ajose, who is a Nollywood actress. Edward Okobi, a clinical researcher at Eli Lilly, US. David Sin Uriepen, that's the deputy editor of this day newspaper. Thank you. And we've got Judy Fiji, who's the depot manager for Clean Surf Port Harcourt. Alphon Afobuno, my apologies if I didn't pronounce your name well, my sincere apologies. Is a journalist and he's in Canada. There's Dr. Steve Mafua, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, the general manager of La Sepa Lagos. Dr. Tolu Ajomale, I'm not sure if you're here, I've not seen you, but if you're here. And of course, I think our same Professor Ayodele Rotimi Koka, he's up last, so thank you so much for joining us. There's Mr. Larry Koka Ojo as well, Mr. Fisayo Ademido, Mrs. Yemisi Aro Gordon, and Otumba Tolu Ogudipe. There are several other dignitaries, and to be honest, we're all dignitaries. Can you all please give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourself a virtual round of applause if we can't, for being here. This is a topic that is difficult on its own, absolutely difficult to talk about. And the next speak that we're going to be doing now, if our next person who is going to be speaking, if you could just please put his camera on, and that is Senator Ted Joshua. Senator Ted Joshua, could you please put your camera on, and kindly, if the admin could just identify him and spotlight him as well when his camera comes on. This next bit that we're going to be talking about, I'm just kind of preempting his speech, but before he does, Senator Larry Ted Joshua was the chair of the Health Committee in the Senate, in the previous Senate. And one of the key things that we know for us to actually make a change is the need for changes and understanding by policymakers about suicide and mental health as a whole. Not just suicide, but mental health as a whole. And one thing I love about this book is the fact that we have a chapter on suicide prevention. We have, I think it's chapter 3 on suicide prevention in the book. And when you do get this book, I'm actually encouraging all of us to please get this book. We're going to tell you where this book can be purchased later. And one of the key things that has been mentioned here is about the role of government's role in preventing suicide. It's not just a role for me as a neighbor, as a sister, a mother, an aunt, a friend, a manager at work, or a colleague. It's not just a role for me to play. The government has a major, major role. And the authors have actually gone to a great extent to having a chapter on looking at government's role in preventing suicide. I'm not going to say much. I probably would add a little bit when Senator Ted Joshua, I asked admin, could you please spotlight him? I'm looking for you in the crowd. I wish you were in a physical hall. I absolutely wish you were in a physical hall where we could do, okay, Senator Ted Joshua, if you're somewhere here, we need to unmute you and just put you on the spotlight so that we can all see you. Or if you could just send a message to us if you're muted so that we can see you. We have over 116 people. And having to go through each profile is a bit of a maze. I don't want to use the word a nightmare. It's a maze. We're happy to have you all here. So I'm looking for Senator Ted Joshua in the crowd so that we can.
I'm here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Over to you now, Senator Ted Joshua. You have 5-10 minutes just to tell us a bit about this book, your role as a former chair of the Health Committee in the Senate, and how you think we can push this forward. Suicide prevention, the role of government, and what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, and good afternoon to everybody. I'm yet to read the book, but I got some generous information about the book from Martins. And I was the chairman, Senate Committee on Health, 2015 to 2019. And looking back, this book would have been very, very relevant in amending the mental health bill. The message to journalists is a very important one. In fact, I would say this is the first book. The second book I want to ask them to write is the same guidelines on how they report kidnapping in Nigeria. Because the way we report even kidnapping is like helping the kidnappers to continue doing that. Between January 2017 and August 2022, Nigerian newspapers reported 264 suicide cases across the country. We know this is just a fraction of Nigerians who have unfortunately taken their lives within the last 4 years. We all know so much more were unreported. For the reported cases published and broadcast to millions of Nigerians via newspapers, social media, television, and radio, we know not many follow the World Health Organization guideline of reporting suicide. In fact, just very few countries, mostly Western nations, have adopted the WHO standard of suicide reporting, which is aimed at ensuring the media do not become a trigger for more cases, rather than helping in reducing cases. For countries just like Nigeria, whose media houses are yet to adopt these guidelines for suicide reportage. There are possibilities that the way cases are being reported have in no small measure led to copycat suicide. For instance, if you report that sniper chemical was taken by someone who killed himself, there's a possibility a depressed reader will pick up the same substance and then take same. Unknowingly to the Nigerian media, it has contributed a copycat suicide in one way or the other through this. There are many more irresponsible ways the media have fueled acts of suicide. The book we are launching today, the morning after, written by Martins and Dr. Olufemi, has taken the pain to explain how irresponsible reportage has led to more suicide cases and how it has devastated families of persons affected. It went further to domesticate globally acceptable suicide reportage guideline for Nigeria. And this, in the coming days, will be presented to media houses and related institutions to ensure henceforth journalists follow guidelines in the book while reporting on cases of suicide in the country. We have many issues Nigerians are currently battling with. We must not allow suicide epidemic to be part of it. The media can rise up to the occasion to ensure the public health challenge is reduced or prevented at best. I commend the authors for taking the pain to put this important book together to save Nigerians, especially the youth, who are mostly affected by the situation. Lastly, I want to say, I don't know the population of journalists in this audience, but they are really the people that we should ensure they get these books in their library and they read it regularly so that all what we are discussing today will become a reality in Nigeria. I thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Senator Tedrosho. That was very brief, very apt, and you did bring up some content points that we're just going to be going, is the next item on the agenda. And you have rightly mentioned the fact that the journalists in the House, we do have some of them. If you're a journalist in the House, can you please just indicate on the chat box, just put something up on the chat box that, hey, you know, the members of the fourth estate, you know, you're here, the fourth round, the fourth estate, you're here. Please just indicate that you're here. And let us know which media house that you're representing as well. If you just put that on the chat box, we'd like to know, and we'd also like to acknowledge you. To say something really, really right, Senator Tedrosho, and that's on suicide reporting. And there's the fact that, of course, yes, we need to spotlight on the people who do the reporting. And that's why part of what we are intending to do today is also the educating. A lot of us are not dealing well with topics and issues because we don't know. Not out of malice, not out of anything, but mostly out of ignorance. One of the key things that the authors, and I know nationally or worldwide, that we're pushing for is the need to change the language, the narratives around mental health issues. And I like what Mr. Adeniyi said earlier about when his friend said she was going to see a shrink. And he said he felt that, oh, you know, it's only people who are probably totally gone off it that go to see a shrink. Or what Dr. Lubile had said, that when he convened and they did a training, they delivered the training to journalists. And at the same meeting, one of the journalists had said, oh, he has some lunatics he has some lunatics on his street. The language for reporting is actually important in reducing stigma and encouraging conversations around mental health, especially suicide. And one of the key things we want to do today is actually to raise funding to train our journalists. We need to train them. It's not like they are writing out of malice, but they're writing based on the knowledge and the perception of the limited information they have. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. The other thing that I'm hoping, Senator Tedrosho, you would help with some of your colleagues that are still in the House, is around the need for us to have a national suicide prevention strategy. We do not have any in Nigeria at the moment. Nigeria is a signatory to the WHO Mental Health Action Plan. And the action plan is from 2013 to 2020. And part of what we signed to is that every single country that are signatories to that action plan must have a national suicide prevention strategy. We don't have any at the moment. We would like this conversation to continue, would like to push it further. There are coalitions of mental health organizations that are pushing for this, but we need people like yourself who have been in government and you know how it ticks in the background. So thank you so much for that, Senator Ted Joshua. Thank you. Please hang around, don't go yet, we still need you. And we're going to be going over to the next bit, which is the launch. But before we talk about the launch, the publishers of this book have done a fantastic work. I also like to tell you that this book that I'm holding, sorry, you can't see because of the background that I have, The Morning After, but you can see it in my background. This book is actually available on Amazon and it's also available in Nigeria. I know we're dotted all over the world, America, London, UK, Sweden, South Africa, we're dotted all over at the moment. But however, Amazon, you can order it on Amazon and it will get to you. It's also available. I'm going to bring the publishers in here now. I'd just like to bring the publisher on the spot in the spotlight. So it's available at Narrative Landscape website. So could you please just type that out on the chat box? The book is available on the Narrative Landscape website. It's also available on Kong Store and Robin Heights booksellers. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that. So do we have the publisher in-house? Sorry, I'm just trying to look at the screen and trying to get to where she might be on the screen. If you're here, my co-host and also the admin, could you please help me look through? I am looking for Dr. Luatayo. What is the publisher's name? Anwuli, yes, gosh, yeah, fantastic. I think she just put a message up on the chat box. I should be able to pick up from there. Anwuli, yep. So Anwuli, if you just please unmute your device. Anwuli Ojogo is a publisher. If you just tell us a word or two. I know you spotlight the authors, that's fine. Yes, that's okay. Can we have Anwuli, please? Anwuli, if you're fantastic. Can we spotlight Anwuli? Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, Anwuli, over to you. Tell us a bit about this book, where we can get it. For those who are in Nigeria, where they can buy it. Of course, we're going to be talking about the launching, because the launch, that is what today is all about. Yes, we're having an in-house conversation, a village room conversation around suicide prevention, suicide, and also suicide reporting as well, and also public health strategy, which I just briefly mentioned. But can you tell us a bit about this book? What was your experience publishing it? And what was your experience with the two authors? Were they nice? Did they come in on time with their...
No, it was a huge privilege to work with Dr. Femi and with Martins. It was very revealing because it was a new subject that I had never encountered. So I thought it was really revealing. And every time I read the book and I opened the newspaper, I kept seeing all the things that they were talking about and why we should not do them. And so I thought it was high time that we had a book on such an important subject. I consider it a huge privilege to work with two people with such amazing experience. I don't know if you can still hear me. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, that was my experience working with and Dr. Femi. It was an amazing. The book is an amazing product, and I've shared that with them many times. I think it's.
And where can we get the books?
So right now, for convenience, because I know everybody on this platform is somewhere around the world. So if you want to, for those of you abroad, you can purchase on Amazon. But for those of you in Lagos or anywhere in Nigeria, you can go on Robin Heights or our website or konga.com and just type Narrative Landscape, which will take you to our platform. And anywhere you order, it will be delivered to you anywhere in Nigeria. So for convenience, that would, we are still trying to get them physical brick and mortar stores. It's still ongoing. But for now, I think the online platforms will be very, very useful to you and convenient for you. So if you go to Amazon for those of you abroad, konga.com is our own Amazon in Nigeria. So konga.com/Narrative Landscape, the name of our publishing company. The Narrative Landscape itself We have it online. You can purchase it. And where's the last place? And Roving Heights, also an online store, one of the leading online stores in Nigeria as well. If you want to purchase the book, and it will be delivered to you anywhere you are in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very brief, and thanks for giving us a background of how it was working with them and how it was revealing for you. Mental health conversation is a conversation that we cannot stop. We just have to continue. We have to keep pushing, and that's one of the things I say. And now we are in the main section. I'm not saying the other sections and the other conversations we've had that they are not main. They've been good. It's been good hearing distinguished ladies and gentlemen talk about suicide, how we can prevent suicide, the perspectives, and how we can change the narratives around suicide reporting, and also public health strategies that we need to put in place. The next bit that we're going on to now is the launch. Yeah, we need to launch this book. So these two young men, I don't know why I keep calling them young men. Yes, they're young men. Please spotlight them for me. Please, kindly spotlight Dr. Femi Oluwatayo. You are all probably, you all probably know them already, whether in personal capacity, professional capacity, whatever capacity that you know them. Can we not share the screen, please? Don't share any screen. Can we not share screen? I don't know who's sharing screen. Ebenezer, if you just stop the screen share. Thank you. Do not share screen. You're not meant to share the screen at all. So can we have Martins as well? Thank you. I'm just going to add Martins. Yes, to the spotlight. These two gentlemen have done a fantastic job. We've heard the reviews from Dr. Olubile, an accomplished and well-renowned psychiatrist. He wrote the foreword to this book, actually. And we have read, we've heard what Mr. Olusegun Adeniyi said about the book. And of course, we've listened to Senator Tejoshua as well. We've listened to them. Now this is the big time. Yes, they've done a good job. This is the time for us to give them a pat on the back. A copy of this book. Anwuli, could you please put the price up? A copy of this book is, I think on Amazon is $9.99. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Oluwatayo. In Nigeria, it's 2,500 naira. I was going to say pounds. Oh my God, I wish I said pounds. I was going to say it's 2,500 pounds. Okay, thank you for putting that up, Anwuli. In Nigeria, it's 2,500 naira. On Amazon, I think it's £9.99. But of course, we're not going to buy it. We need to get a copy of this book, and we would make sure you get these books. So what I'm going to ask us to please do, you see some of us with this background, including the authors as well. So you've got Adesua or Marua, you've got Ebenezer, Adeshoro, you've got myself. If you want to just send direct messages to us, this is a time for us to launch and to say well done to these two young men, these two gentlemen, these two accomplished men who have done quite a lot in pushing the conversation around mental health in our community. They've done a fantastic job. Would like to buy this book and to launch it. Of course, I'm not going to tell you to buy it for 2,500 naira. No. We're all here for a purpose. I'm going to share with you on the screen now. I'm going to share with you on the screen the account details where you can post these things to. Where you can transfer your donations to. We're going to share them on the screen soon. But before I do, I just want to ask if there's anybody in the house, anybody on the floor who would like us to just unmute them. Please just put a word on the chat box. Who might want to say a word or two of congratulations to these gentlemen who've written this book, a word or two, just 1 minute. And I'm going to be very, very strict about the 1 minute. Anybody who would like to, I'm checking, and if there's if any of the admins sees anybody, let me know. If you'd like to just say a word or two to these two gentlemen who've written. Yes, Professor Olajide, my former professor, has put his hands up. Yay! Absolutely.
Wow. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Thank you so much. First, let me congratulate the organizers of today's launch, the planners, the authors, and the participants. I thank them for identifying a crippling slow death to our people here in Nigeria, and I'm saying all of us. You remember at the Lagos 2019 conference where I interacted with you, your ebullient, versatile convener. I dwelt on the root of mental health, specifically on suicide. And my point was on 2 points. One, that is a social existential narrative in Nigeria, and which paves the road to suicide because of our history of neglect, bad policies, and totally blind ignorance. Then, of course, there is the other route, which I identified, which is basically one of alienation. But this effort by these two brilliant persons, both Dr. Oluwatayo and Ifije, I think has pointed and underscored the fact that we mustn't lose sight that this should I call it pandemic of some sort, is written all over the Nigerian narrative. And so I beg you, as we continue with this effort, which I know you are central to, the Nous organization is very central to this, and I know how passionate you have been about this. I can only ask you, if I'm not asking too much, I know you full of energy, that you continue to push on. The education that this launch provides is highly commendable, therefore. And the fact that it has underscored that suicide is not a crime, rather you might call it a social narrative. And this I want to support with a launch. As a worker here in the States, I cannot announce my humble donation that I will make clear to Dr. Oluwatayo when I say I can always do my transfer. But on another level, I want to say that I want my university, the Ekiti State University, to serve as a support arm in the evangelization initiative. It can serve through a student union body, and particularly the alumni body, to which my own dear friend Lade belongs, and is a very, very formidable figure. So if we are given that little window, whatever push we can do through seminars, through workshop, we can begin to execute that at our level here, so that the good news and the good news of focusing on suicide, explaining to
I'm not too sure. I think we may have lost Professor Lajide. Is it from my end or is it just across the board? Did we lose him, or I'm not too sure if that's from my end? Okay. Can you all hear me? I'm not too sure. Can somebody just indicate to me if you can hear me or not? Fantastic, thank you. I think we may have lost Dr. Olajide, Dr. Professor Olajide there. So I'm just going to call on, so thank you very much. We have on the screen there the account. You know, these days, you know, with the pandemic and with everything, the pandemic, yes, came with a very bitter pill, but however, there's some positives to it. We have on the screen, one of the things that the pandemic taught us is that the world has become a global village. In 2019, when we held the first suicide prevention conference in Nigeria, I had to travel down to Nigeria. I'm actually based in the UK, but I have a very thriving foundation in Nigeria, Nous Foundation, and we raise awareness about mental health. We do training and quite a lot of other things in Nigeria. It's the fact that we're now a global village, and so much can be done. So we've got on the screen the account details. You know, you all have our phones. We all have our phones now. We all have those apps where you could just transfer the money straight away in there to supporting these two gentlemen. So you don't have to wait. We don't really want to, you know, chase after you. Yes, you could do it private, but do it privately here, just in case you don't want to tell us that you want to launch this book with 1 million naira, you want to launch with 20 million naira, or whatever amount, 1 million pounds, whatever amount that you decide you want to. But I'm going to share this screen, and this account details is going to be on. So if you're in Nigeria, you got this account details is Zenith Bank, is the Nous Foundation Nigeria Limited, Zenith Bank 101, account number 101-444-8985. If you're in the UK, we've got the Nous Organization Limited, and it's Lloyds Bank. The sort code is all there on the screen. All of this money is going to be going towards the publishing and the and a lot more information about this. But before we do that, this launch session is actually broken down into two sections. The first section is talking, of course, to support the authors, the two gentlemen who've written this book. But the other bit is what Senator Ted Joshua talked about, what Dr. Olugbile mentioned, and also what Mr. Shegwadeni mentioned, and also what a lot of us are kind of hearing on the platform, and that's the need for us to train the journalists. And shall I use the word, I don't want to say train, educate, inform, whichever adjective you decide to use. I think it's important, and we know that this training costs money. We're going to have Chioma Obioma later, who is the president of the Health Writers Association. She's the Health Writers Association of Nigeria. She's going to come and talk to us about the reason why we do need to support our journalists. But before we do that, I'm just going to call on. We would have heard Professor Latide talk. Thank you very much. There's Professor Otegbayo. Professor Otegbayo, are you here? If you just kindly unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself. I know some people have put their hands up. There's Mr. Wale Lagudoye. You have the floor.
Yes,
please unmute yourself. Okay, Professor Otegbayo, please go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I'm highly honored to be part of this event. I really want to congratulate the authors, particularly my age-long bosom friend, Dr. Oluwatayo and Martins. This is a great job, even though I've not read the book. I believe in a matter of days or so, I should have a copy to read. In Nigeria, we have a lot of problems that people are just barely surviving. And to add this layer of mortality that comes through suicide is just one thing too many. And I want to thank them for bringing this to the fore, to bring it to the conscience of our population and others. I would only suggest that this book should not be left in the English language form alone, because we have a wide readership who will not be able to read the Twinchy like our Hausa people will say. We have a large readership in Yoruba land, Igbo land, in Hausa land. So it would be a great job for you if some form of translation could be done for this, and even beyond the shores of English readers. So I thank you most sincerely for making me part of this. I cannot show my video because I'm multitasking. I'm doing some other stuff. So
Professor Otegbayo, you want to hear how much you want to launch this book with? You want to hear the ego, the owo.
That's all you want to hear.
You want to hear the ego. We've heard what you said. We want to hear the ego, sir.
Okay, let me switch to that.
Yes, sir.
As a public officer, we are not allowed to make mention of figures in monetary terms. Otherwise, before you know it, you have EFCC, ICPC after you. But I will say that I'm going to launch it with an undisclosed amount.
Okay, you've got the details on the screen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. We've got the details. You've got the details. We've got the bank and account details online. If you just do the transfer to that account, we'd really appreciate. Thank you, sir.
I'll screenshot.
Thank you, sir. We have quite a lot of people who are lined up. A lot of people who've had their hands up, and I'm very conscious of time. So for the next person I'm going to call, if I just ask that you make it as brief as possible, very brief. The book is there. It has a lot of information. They've done a fantastic job already. So I will be putting on the stand. So Professor Tegbayo, you have the account details. Please transfer whether in Naira or in pounds or dollars, whichever currency. You've got that. We've got Dr. Yemisi Obu. I know she's a public servant as well. Just 1 minute. I'm going to be very strict about the timing. 1 minute. Let's make it as brief as possible. Dr. Yemisi Ogu is the Chief Medical Director of the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. Can we please spotlight her if she is in the house? Sorry, my screen is for the admin. Could you please spotlight Dr. Ogun? And if you could just kindly unmute her as well, please.
Yes,
Dr. Yemisi, can you hear us? Fantastic.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon,
yes, go ahead,
moderator, and everybody on the platform. It's nice to be here among you. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Oluwatayo as well as Mr. Martins for this book. I've read it up to half. I will still read it again. I will, like Dr. Professor Tegbayo said, I will be launching it with an undisclosed amount, which I'm going to convey to Dr. Oluwatayo, and I will be buying like 10 books for our library. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much for making that brief. We've got the account details online as well. So to be honest, yes, you could convey the exact amount that you transfer will be conveyed to Dr. Oluwatayo. So if you just take the details online and just do the transfer, that will be faster and easier. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. God bless you. Okay, we've got Mr. Wale Lagundoye. We actually have you pinpointed. Thank you. You have the floor, and it's just 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, and to my esteemed colleague and partner. Mental health difficulties, we know, are quite common in our societies, and I use the word societies as a wider, in a wider context, because Nigerians are present in Nigeria and in the diaspora as well. Suicide, as we know, is at the extreme end of potential consequences of mental health difficulties. And we know that these difficulties do impact on not only individuals, but family members and the society in general. I think it's a great privilege and great thing that Femi and Martin have done in producing this book that we hope will be a resource for journalists and members of the public as well. So on behalf of the management of the retreat healthcare facility in Ikorodu, I would like to say that we commit to the training of 5 journalists as part of this program. I personally would also be buying 10 copies of the book to share with members of public. Congratulations, Femi. Congratulations, Martin. I hope that this will be the beginning or continuation of an ongoing dialogue about how, as a society, we can begin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lagundoye. Thank you so much for
mental health difficulties.
Thank you very much.
Associated stigma that exists.
Can you hear me, sir? 1 minute over, done 3 minutes actually. We want to try and keep it as brief as possible. Thank you so much, Mr. Lagundoye. We have it on record. So Mr. Lagundoye is training 5 journalists. Thank you. And that takes us into the second bit. That has kind of eaten into the second bit of our launch, which is good. And it's buying 25 copies. 10 copies, sorry, 10 copies. The account details are online, so if you transfer the money, would ensure that you get your 25 copies. Would make sure that we do that. Thank you. And the next person that we have is Mr. Michael Dada, and you're actually already spotlight. Mr. Michael Dada is the CEO of MKD Enabling Services and Milton Keynes. Over to you. 1 minute. I'm going to be stopping you after 1 minute. Count down now.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And I congratulate Dr. Oluwafemi Oluwatayo Martins Idrije. Dr. Oluwatayo, especially, is a psychiatrist I admire a lot. It's easy to just study and be a professional, but it's gone beyond the basic and is doing other things. He's publishing books, he's conducting research, he's establishing mental health hospital, he's collaborating, he's somebody who works in a team. So I'm looking forward to the content of this book. I'm going to commit myself to buy 10 copies for 10 members of the retreat. I'm going to buy another 10 copies for a group of Association of Clinical Psychologists to stimulate the awareness of the presence of the book so that other members can buy as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dada. Really much appreciated. Thank you so much. You've got the account details. I'm going to share that again on the screen. The monies could be transferred there, and we're taking note of all those who have requested for copies of the book. We'll definitely make sure that we get you copies of those books. But if you transfer the money, we need the money now to be able to transfer, to be able to make sure that you get the book. It's which one comes first, the chicken or the egg. We need the money to send the book to you. So if you just please transfer. Okay, I know as well that I'd just like to say that I do know that some people may just not want to share online. Some people may just not want to share online the amount. There are over 110 people 101 at the moment on the Zoom call. You could please directly message us. If you want to directly message myself, directly message Dr. Oluwatayo the amount that you're transferring, or whatever other information, please do that. Just in case you are, some of us are shy. Some of us are very shy. We don't like to talk in public. So you might just be shy and you don't want to mention that, you're giving this amount. I'm going to share that on the screen again very soon. We have Mr. Lanre Koka. Mr. Lanre Koka Ojo, my apologies. Mr. Lanre Koka Ojo. The authors have asked that you have a word or two to tell us, and it's going to be 1 minute. I will cut you after 1 minute. I'll stop rather, not cut. If you please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Does my 1 minute include the good afternoon and all that?
You've taken 20 seconds.
Right. Right. Okay. Congratulations. I'm highly honored to be a partaker in this great event. In 2012, I lost a friend in the UK. He was a GP. He had his own practice, highly successful in almost every area. One of the most sociable persons I've ever known. In fact, we refer to him as Commissioner for Enjoyment because he lived a life. However, we woke up one day to find out that he had committed suicide. So he was a medical doctor, he was a GP, highly successful, enjoyed life to the fullest. On the day that he died, he went for a haircut in the morning. He's a Liverpool Football Club supporter, dressed in his kit and committed suicide. Essentially, I say this because it's not written on the face. It can happen to anyone. It's the mental health issues. It's not something I believe in Nigeria.
1 minute done, sir. 1 minute done,
very
sir.
Serious. Okay. So I just want to say I commend Dr. Oluwatayo and Martins for this great effort. My contribution will be undisclosed in terms of monetary terms. However, as a token, I will commit to 10 books.
Thank you, sir. 10 books. Thank you. We've got the account details shared on the screen once more. So just in case, let me move this down so that we can see it. So it's for those who are in the UK, the account number is 420. I don't know why this 420-52968 Lloyds Bank News Organization. Those in Nigeria is 101-444-8985, Zenith Bank, News Foundation, Nigeria. So the account details are shared on the screen again. Thank you very much for sharing that. And thank you for, I'm really sorry about the loss of your friend. I was very much aware of that case in 2012, which was very shocking to a lot of us in the community, absolutely shocking. And that's why this is a conversation that we just cannot keep quiet about. We have to keep talking about it. Suicide is real, and it can happen to anyone. And it's not because you're poor, not because you're fat, not because you're tall, black, white, thin, skinny, whatever. Mental health issues is something that affects us all, irrespective of the status of our bank account, irrespective of where we are in the community, absolutely irrespective. So thank you for that. Over to you, Dr. or Professor, I think it's Professor Coker. Is Professor Coker on the platform? Professor Coker, are you here? If you could just please unmute yourself, and if you give a shout out. If you can, Professor Coker. Please help me out, admin, if you see Professor Coker, to please, I did see him earlier. Please help me out, admin, and also co-host, if you just help me out with that. I know Dr. Gocha is on the screen. We're going to call you soon. Thank you so much. Like we said earlier, just in case anybody else wants to donate, I'm going to share the account details later for you to please support these two gentlemen who've done to a great extent to writing and putting this wealth of information together. Who else is on the, can we see Professor Coker? Femi, can you help me out, please? I cannot seem to pick him up from the crowd. Okay.
There are other people waiting. We got Roslyn. Roslyn is waiting.
Okay, Roslyn. Okay, yeah, we've got Dr. Gocha who is pinned. Let's say Dr. Gocha, you've got 1 minute, Dr. Gocha. I will stop you after 1 minute.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Mr. Ifeche and my big brother, Dr. Oluwatayo, for this book. I haven't read the book, but from what I've heard, suicide is quite stigmatized, not only in Nigeria, even amongst the Nigerian society. I'm a GPA in the UK, and mental health amongst our society is quite stigmatized, and people still use such derogatory words, like you mentioned about lunatic, somebody saying that in a conference. It's still even used amongst, the Nigerian community. And I just thank you for doing this book, and I'm just hoping that it will go wide and far, and that you can even do it in other languages as well, because this cuts across not just Nigeria, but across other ethnic minorities as well in the UK. So congratulations. My husband and I are going to launch the book with a small token of £100. Thank you for blessing us with this book.
Thank you very much. Shall I share the account details on the screen? And thank you for being very brief and precise. Yes, you're right. One of the words that we probably haven't mentioned again is the use of the word committing suicide. And I know the writers wrote this in the book as well. Committing suicide is a very negative word, and it actually connotes that suicide is a crime. It doesn't recognize the fact that some suicide may be because of mental health issues. So yes, can we, if I can ask the 91 of us on the platform this morning or this afternoon, to just all agree that we'll not use the word commit suicide any longer. People die by suicide. Suicide is a form of death, and it is not committing suicide. So for the journalists in the house, while you're writing, it's part of what we're going to be talking about when we do the training. Whilst you're writing your reports on suicide, it is not that the person committed suicide, it's the person died by suicide. Over to you, Roslyn. Roslyn Ajose, thank you very much. Nollywood actress, thank you. And I think you're also in the medical field as well.
Yes, I am. Good
Fantastic.
afternoon.
Over to you. We want to hear the ego. Don't give us any speech. You've had enough speech. Money.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I just want to share a little of my experience.
No, sorry, no. It's just 1 minute for you to round up. We have very few minutes left. We have another bit. No sharing of experience. 1 minute, launch the book.
You don't know what the experience is if it's just 2 seconds. Anyway, I just threw the flyer among my Nollywood colleagues 2-3 days ago. And the first thing they said is everybody is crazy in Nigeria, which I think is quite sad. Everybody is not crazy in Nigeria. We're all here this afternoon, this morning. We're professors, we're doctors, we're nurses, we're midwives, we're people that are doing well. So in our daily hustle, we're not crazy. We're simply just wanting to make it in life. So for people living in Nigeria saying everybody in Nigeria is crazy, I think is quite appalling. So I really commend Dr. Oluwafemi Oluwatayo for writing this book, because it's a gap. We needed somebody to bridge that gap for us in Nigeria. And he saw the need, and he did that retreat, which I visited myself a couple of years ago. I said, thank you very much, Dr. Tayo, for bridging the gap for us as a mental health doctor. Because if our leg is not well, our body is not well, we go to hospital and we get treated. So if the brain become a little bit disturbed, I think—
Rosalie, we want to hear the money. Rosalie, we want to hear the money. 3 minutes gone now.
Anyway,
we want the lunch.
I won't make my own donation known. I will be launching it by buying 5 copies of the book. I just say congratulations, Dr. Tayo and Mr. Martin.
Thank you very much. You can do the transfer onto the bank account. Is right on the screen. We're sharing the bank account. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being a representative of one of the greatest tools that we can use in changing the narratives, and that's our Nollywood stars. It is the type of films and how they portray people who have mental health issues in the various films that they show. It is the fact they make them look like people who are tattered and looking so unkempt, ignoring the fact that mental ill health can happen to any one of us. And we don't really need to be tattered looking for you to have mental ill health. You could be well dressed, just like you and I today. Who knows whether I have a diagnosis or not? Nobody knows. Yep. Thank you very much for that, Rosalie. Okay. So I've had some few inboxes. Thank you for those who are inboxing. Thank you. Yes, Femi, go ahead. Femi, you're muted. If you just
I think Professor Coca is back in the house now.
Professor Coca, fantastic. Professor Coca, where are you? Can you please spotlight him, Femi, if you can see him? I can't see him from here. It's a large crowd. Professor Coca, if you're here, if you just unmute your device and we just... Okay, can the admin please put this account number on the line, please? Admin, put the account number on the line. People are saying they cannot say it well. I'm going to try and... Okay, I will share it on the screen in a different format now. I think this should be a little bit more visible. Let me know. That should be a lot more visible. Thank you for those who noted that in the chat box that the account number is not visible. Is this better? I think it was because I made it to a full screen. So this is better now. Yep, fantastic. Okay, Professor Coca, you have the floor. Thank you so much. If you just unmute your device, please. Professor Coca, you have the floor, sir. Professor Coca, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay, whilst we're trying to get through to Professor Coca, we've unmuted you. Can I go over to, is Dr. Steve Mafua on the platform? Dr. Steve Mafua on the platform? Is Dr. Steve Mafua on the platform, please? Okay, I'll go over to Dr. Dolapo Fashawe. My apologies if I did not pronounce your name well. Dr. Dolapo Fashawe. And of course, okay, whilst we're trying to get through, Senator Tejo Show. Senator Ted Joshua, if you're in the House, would like you to, I know you've said quite some glowing reports about your interaction with Martins, would like you to support these gentlemen who've written this. Senator Ted Joshua, are you still on the platform? Where is he? This is so interesting, trying to look through the screen. You need to
it's not on the call. It's not on the call.
He has left.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll get in contact with him because I'm sure he'll want to support. Okay, is Dr. Tolu Ajomale? I'm not sure I've seen Dr. Tolu Ajomale. Yeah. Is Mr. Fisayo Ademidun here? Mr. Fisayo Ademidun? Please pardon me if I'm just calling names, I'm just calling as I see on the screen. It's not in any order of importance, please. It's not in any order of importance.
Yeah, I'm here.
If you would like to launch, please ask us to. Mr. Ademidun, please go ahead. Mr. Fisayo Ademidun.
Yes, my name is Fisayo Ademidun from United Kingdom. Just first of all, to say congratulations to Dr. Oluwatayo and Martins Ifije. And Dr. Oluwatayo in particular has been a very good friend. And you're not only a solution provider, because when you decide to invest in the community, you could have used the money to send your children to private institution, like Oxford or any other highly reputable university, Harvard and so on and so forth. But you choose to invest in the community. Same thing with the retreat hospital which you've built in Ikorodu. It's on my bucket list. Anytime I go to Lagos, I must make sure I visit there. Yeah. Thank you very much. I know the heaven will not forget you for making the impact. You chose to, you could have decided to live in the best community in London, in the UK. So I've got the book myself, and I'm going to be buying 5 more copies, and I'll be donating £100 to the charity or an organization as well. So I'm buying 5 more books and £100. Thank you very much, and well done to both of you. And I pray the heaven will support you. Like they've taken words out of my mouth many times today, because I thought the book should be written in more languages like Hausa and particularly French, which is widely spoken around the world. And I pray more efforts. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Fisayo Ademidun. Thank you so much. Okay, there's this bit. Where's Chioma? Chioma, are you on the platform? Chioma is the president of the Health Writers Correspondence of Nigeria. Chioma, where are you? If you just take your screen off, and can you please help me spotlight Chioma? If you just kindly help me spotlight Chioma, absolutely. That is where she is, at to spotlight. Chioma, if you just please unmute yourself. Chioma, over to you. You are the president of the Health Writers Association of Nigeria. And one key thing that Senator Ted Joshua mentioned, and also Dr. Lubile, and of course a lot of other people have kind of implied, is the need to train journalists. And I know that some few journalists have sent some few inboxes into me. Can I ask Ebenezer, the journalists who are on the platform today, can you please indicate your name and your telephone number on the chat box? Ebenezer, can you please take note of the names of the journalists and the telephone numbers as well, and the newspaper houses they represent? Over to you, Chioma.
Thank you, Ede. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I am highly honored to be part of this history. And before I continue, I would like to congratulate Dr. Olufemi and my friend Martins, and a member of Health Writers Association of Nigeria. A lot have been said today, and I feel somehow ashamed of the media, how from the book review and what the book and the authors have said today concerning our reportage of suicide. It is no longer news that Nigeria is experiencing an increase in suicide cases, but the unfortunate thing is that some of these cases have been linked to the wrong way we journalists report suicide. Though the media is meant to play a critical role in advancing public understanding of mental illness. But lack of training, lack of training has done much harm than good for these journalists in their reportage of suicide. For instance, how a journalist reports stories about individuals with mental disorders can increase awareness or also reduce stigma. But when it is inappropriately reported, so it fuels suicide and stigma. And people that are going through such challenges will not have access to mental treatment. But sadly, in the media, like the book reviewer, Dr. Lubile said earlier, he said, about these sensational headlines. In Nigeria, media enjoys sensational headlines. Like it is commonplace for you to find a man commits suicide. And although like those days, people like us, we do such stories, we will tell you that it's a catchy headline. But from the book that our friend, Mr. Martins and Dr. Oluwatayo authored, we are meant to understand that when you say commit, that means you're making suicide a crime and not a health condition. And this is another problem again, is that in Nigeria today, suicide is being seen as a crime and not a health condition. And especially most times in Nigeria, the suicide cases are reported by crime reporters, which is also a huge problem on our own side. According to WHO, when suicide is reported responsibly, it reduces suicidal behaviors in the society. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, the media tends to sensationalize these headlines. And again, another problem we have in this part of the world is the language, like the earlier speakers said, And again, another problem we have is the issue of the way we journalists describe some of these things. And this is why we are saying there is need for training. There are so many things. There are 1,000, a million and one thing that journalists, that journalists do to prevent suicide in this part of the world. Not too long ago, before the advent of a coronavirus, almost every week you will read not less than 10 cases of, every week you read more than 10 cases of suicide cases in the media. And why is this going on? And even now, sniper has become a household name for the wrong reason. Because we journalists, when we do our reports, some of us, we put, like one of the co-authors said earlier, we tend to, we want to really make sure that we're writing a good story. We want to put whatever they are using to carry out the act. And some of these things that we do only glorifies the act of suicide and not reducing the suicide or increasing awareness about suicide. So that is why the Nous Foundation and the authors of this book, Mr. Martins Ifije and Dr. Oluwatayo, and in collaboration with Health Writers Association of Nigeria, is holding a training for health journalists in Nigeria. Under the umbrella body of Health Writers Association, we have not less than 50 journalists, but due to lack of funds, we are limiting the training for 30 journalists. But even with that 30 journalists, there is not enough money to do this training. And we are appealing to all the participants today. We are appealing to the guests of honors. We are appealing to everyone on this platform today to support our cause, sponsor a journalist. Each journalist, to train each journalist will cost us not less than 30,000 naira. And when you're training 30,000 people, you will have not less than 900,000 naira to train 30 journalists on suicide reporting. And not bearing in mind that you're also going to pay the facilitators. We are appealing, and we are hoping that all of you will support us today. As you dip into your pockets to bring up the money to support us today, we pray that the host of heaven will bless you and bless you more and more in the name of Jesus. I also pray that the authors, I also want to congratulate the authors that it is not easy. As so many of us have done so many stories about suicide, and sometimes we inject some of these languages that are not really appropriate. I would like to recommend that book for every journalist on this platform today, on this very webinar today. I would like to recommend it for every journalist and every participant today to also get a copy and give a copy to a friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Chioma, for being very, for first of all, owning up owning up to the fact that, yes, and you've spoken on behalf of your representatives. So you're representing your core, you're representing the trade that you practice, the fact that journalists have in one way or the other not exactly helped, and is the fact that we want to correct the narrative. Yes, each of the training, to train each journalist is going to cost 30,000 naira. I know that Mr. Lagudoye already said he's going to sponsor 5 journalists. So we have 25 more journalists that we need to sponsor. So we have 5 that have been covered. Thank you so much. We need more to be sponsored. And this is the second bit of the launch that I'd mentioned earlier. And I know there's some public servants here who said they cannot donate money. That's fine, but you can say that you would train number of journalists. So for those who are public servants who are in the house or in the house now, you could train 1 or 2. So we're asking you, we're imploring, let's change this narrative. We can't do it alone. The Nous organization we cannot do it alone, neither can the retreat do it alone, neither can John. We need help. We know that, we do know that one of the key things for those who have organizations, as part of your fantastic thank you, we have somebody who is written on the page. I don't have your full name, please. Somebody said they would train 5 journalists, and that is Peju. Please, could you just send your details? Could you just send your full details in? Thank you so much for that. You only have your name. If you just kindly please send your telephone number to me directly. Send directly to me, please. Peju Raji, thank you. Send directly to me and we'll follow up with that. Or if you could just transfer into the account straight away and then we'll call you. The training is planned to be in the next 4 weeks. For the next 4 weeks. So we have 20 more journalists that we need to train. So 10 have been covered and there are 30 that we want to train. We have 20 more to cover. I'm just going to share on the screen again now the account details so that we can have that. The account details I'll be sharing again on the screen so that we can have that. And bear with me one moment while I put that on so that you could just transfer the money straight away. Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you so much. God bless you, Dr. Dada. God bless you. Thank you so much. Dr. Dada is training 2 journalists. Thank you so much. 2 journalists, and that is 60,000 naira. Thank you so much. 60K. Peju Raji is training 5. That is 150K. Thank you so much. I'm going to share on the screen now. I'm just going to quickly share on the screen the page. There are transfer details. We just transfer so that we're not chasing you around. We don't really want to chase you. You know, we don't want to be marketers. We don't want to do cold calling. If you just transfer, and if you just please reference training. So when you transfer the money, you just put training or journalist training, either into the UK account or the Nigerian account. Don't worry, we're transparent. The publishers, the authors would know, and we're going to be very accountable with this. And of course, part of what we will do if you're representing an organization is that we would acknowledge you on the day of the training. We're going to put your logo of your organization on the training pack that we're going to give to the journalists. And we would mention, can I just say that the journalists would mention you as well. We're going to be mentioning the sponsors. So if you have a corporate organization and you would want us to mention you, you want to do this as part of your corporate social responsibility, yes, please. Please go ahead. The floor is open. I know we have Otumba. Bear with me one moment. Otumba Ogundikpe. Otumba Ogundikpe. Otumba Ogundikpe, if you're in the house, please, if you could just Ebenezer, if you could just help me look through admin or co-host, if you just help me look through Otumba Ogundikpe. If you're online, if you just make a shout out so that we can spotlight you. Would like to hear from you. The authors would like to hear from you. They've asked that I should put you on the hot floor. I should put you on the hot floor. Otumba Ogundikpe. Are you there? Okay, whilst we're waiting, is Mrs. Yemisi Aro Gordon. Mrs. Gordon, is Mrs. Gordon in the house? Mrs. Gordon? Mrs. Gordon, Mrs. Gordon?
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Fantastic, good morning, good morning.
A big congratulations to Doctor and the journalists. It's a good work you have done there. Like I said to him, I'm a counselor. I did a training incidentally last year with Dr. Olugbile. And I was so amazed at what the book is all about. It's not time for speeches anyway. So I'm going to be launching 10 books with a token fee money of 100,000 naira.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank
I'll
you
do the
very much,
transfer by
Mrs. Gordon.
Monday. Thank you so much.
Okay. Do you have the account details? The account details on the chat box. I'm going to put it up there. Fantastic.
I took it already. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay,
All
I've
right.
pasted it up again. It's on the chat box. So for anybody who wants to do a secretive, you know, there are secret admirers. Remember, for those of us who are people of faith, we had Simon. Simon was a secret admirer of Jesus. He was so quiet. Those who just want to keep it quiet and you just want to transfer, you don't want to make any noise, transfer the 100,000 naira, the 100,000 pounds, please transfer into the account. It would go a long way. Thank you so much to somebody has put on the chat box that they're going to train 2 journalists as well on behalf of Liberty House, Northampton, and that's from Ola Oluwatayo. Ola Oluwatayo, 2 journalists. So that leaves us with 18. Thank you. We're going somewhere. We've got 18 more journalists to train, 18 more out of 30. We can do this. We can cover the whole of the 30. Can we get more people who will please donate to training this 4th estate or 4th realm estate, whichever one comes first? So can we do that? Can we? We're just waiting. Anybody else? Is Otumba here now? I'm still looking out for Otumba on the, I can't seem to find him. This is Mrs. Bola Oshusomi. Was that Mrs. Bola Oshusomi? I think I saw her earlier. Yay, I'm going to ask you to unmute. I've asked you to unmute and I'm going to spotlight you, Mrs. Bola Oshusomi. Yay, your spotlight. Okay, Mrs. Bola, you'll have the floor. Do you want to either launch or train, whichever one? Is Dr. Steve Mafua in the house? Mrs. Bola, you have muted yourself. Please unmute yourself. And then there's Jude Ifije. Jude, you're on the floor. And you have the same surname with one of the authors. So where are you? Please come and support your brother. Hi. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, I've already transferred my widow's mite to the account. I've done the transfer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chisomi. Thank you. Jude, over to you, Jude. Jude, brother to one of the author, brother, uncle. I don't know how they're related, but I know you have the same surname. I know you have the same surname. So you have the floor. Do you want to say a word or to train? We have 18 more journalists to train. We've only been able to cover 5. Yeah, we have 18 more, so we'll cover 22. Over to you, Jude. Yeah, go.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Okay, one of the authors is actually my brother. First of all, let me congratulate the authors of the book for this great work. I will be launching this book with the purchase of 10 books. Hello, did you get me?
We only had 10. You'll be launching the book by buying 10 copies. For how much?
For 25,000 naira.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's Jude for Judy Fije, 25,000 naira. Thank you. 10 copies. Okay. And we will transfer, if you transfer the money, you definitely get copies of the book, 10 copies. Thank you so much, Mr. Fije. Thank you for that.
I'll do that. All right.
Thank you. Professor Coker is back in the house. Professor Coker, where are you? Can co-host please help spotlight Professor Coker? Co-host, please spotlight Professor Coker.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I have been raising my hand for the past 30 minutes, but for some technological reasons, my microphone just went off. I'm glad to be here. Why? Because I'm a mental health expert. I'm also a consultant psychiatrist, and I have been working with Dr. Olufemi Oluwatayo the last 20 years. We were colleagues at the psychiatric hospital Yaba 2 decades ago, before he chose to be in diaspora. However, I won't fail to mention that even before the pandemic, the rates and degrees of mental health disorders were on the increase. So we can deductively reason that during and after the pandemic, mental health disorders will astronomical increase, most especially depression and suicide. The research that was conducted by our Department of Behavioral Medicine in LASUD recently, surveyed over 12,000 participants, and we found that about 9% of them had suicidal intentions. Recent studies also showed that 10 out of 100,000 Nigerians have committed suicide. So without saying much, we are in trouble in this country. Mental health, public mental health policymakers must do something about it. And that's why this book, The Morning After, is germane and pertinent at this point in time. It will reduce the stigma, the discrimination, and all these hatred-associated mental disorders. And also the recommendations at the back of the book is fantastic. However,
Dr. Ayodele, we want to hear the money, sir. We want to hear the ego.
Yes,
That's what we want. This section is for launching, sir, not for speech, sir.
We are in this together as a psychiatrist. So I'll take
five. That's why I want to hear the money. That's why I want to hear your donation, sir.
Amount. Thank you very much. 5 copies with an undisclosed amount. I will transfer amount.
5 copies.
Yes.
You will transfer to the bank account. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Amen. And of course, the precious diadem in the hands of one of the authors would like to put you on the floor. And that is Mrs. Ola Oluwatayo. I know she has, in a very discreet way, put something on the platform to say that she's going to train some journalists, but would like you to say a word. Yes, your spotlight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is just to say congratulations to my dear husband, Dr. Oluwati. Well done. And Mr. Martin, well done as well. This is a very, very important topic to dwell on. And as the senator said, he's given you another assignment on kidnapping in Nigeria. So that's the next job. No rest. Keep going, keep carrying on, and may God continue to bless the works of your hands. So for today, I am representing one of the ministries in Northampton, which is Christ United Ministry, Liberty House. So on behalf of Liberty House, we're going to train 2 journalists. And as you know, I've got a huge collection of the book in my house because I've bought a lot. So for all those people directly related to us in Northampton, you'll be getting your book through your door, and I'll be collecting the money personally from you. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody on this platform. We love you, we appreciate you, and thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluwatayo. Absolutely fantastic to see a wife support the husband. And they are training, apart from the books, they're also training. She's indicated on the chat box that they will be training 3 journalists. So we have 18 more journalists. I would like us to try and round this up, to be honest with you. We can do more. Let's try and pick up let's try and pick up, see how many more we can do. We can do more than this. Okay, somebody else. Okay, I don't have your full name. Somebody sent a message to me. If I could have your full name, that would be very helpful, please. The person who said they would like to train 2 journalists and a donation of £100. If you could just send your full name to me. I only have your first name because I think that's what you logged on with. So that means that we have 16 more journalists to train. 16 more journalists. Please, when you transfer the money, can you just make a reference? Can you just make a reference on there, whether journalist or book purchase, when you do the transfer, especially for those who are here, would like to be to see which one, what the money is going towards. So if you're training 2 journalists, that is 60,000 naira for 2 journalists, and then the donation of 100. If you just please do it separately, we're able to go through that. Thank you so much for that. Afofem, I called you earlier. Afofem, Thank you very much. I'm getting some. I'm going to share on the screen. I'm going to share on the screen now the account details. People are asking for the account details. So we've got, how many journalists would you want to train? If you could just kindly please indicate how many journalists that you would like to train. Somebody's just sent a message to me. I don't want to mention your name because you did directly to me, that you like to train journalists, but you didn't mention how many. Can you let us know how many journalists you would want to train? Because we're counting down. So we have 16 more. We have 16 more journalists. There are 30 of them, We have 16 more. Okay, Afofem. It's Afofem here. So we've got Tayo Olubowale on the spotlight. We'll give you the floor, sir. Achievers Ministry, you've got the floor, sir. If you just unmute yourself,
Yeah, thank you, moderator.
My name is Lade, actually. My name is Lade Olugbemi, and I'm the chief executive of Nous organization. I'm also an author. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself later. So I'm a named person. I'm not just a moderator. I'm Lade Olugbemi.
My apologies, Lade. My name is Olushina Olubowale. Dr. Oluwatayo is a very good friend, a childhood friend. And congratulations today. We wish you a greater height. We will be sending our widow's mites to the UK bank account for the book launch. And on behalf of a Linkers Club of Eredo Yewa, we'll be training 3 journalists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I have that. You already mentioned that on the chat box, which is so appreciated. We have that. So I'm going to have to call your name. Mr. Mike Ola, you said you want to train journalists. You didn't indicate how many, because we're trying to count the numbers down. We're going to be rounding up very soon. We'll have a vote of thanks. Somebody will be giving us a vote of thanks. I know we've gone a little bit above our time. So apologies for the 66 people who are still on the platform. Thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate you. Can somebody, okay, we've got Olushina. If you just spotlight Mr. Olushina, please unmute yourself. I think he wants to donate 100,000 naira, 100,000 pounds. So let's see how much. You're muted, please. Mr. Olushina Olupowale, you're muted, please.
I've just spoken with you now.
Okay. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I thought, okay, you changed the name. That was why. You changed your name.
My apologies.
Okay, that's why. There is Mr. Tunji Olaleye. Mr. Tunji Olaleye, are you in the floor? Are you on the floor? Sorry. And we'll be rounding up in the next 5 minutes. We have to round up in the next 5 minutes. Mr. Tunji Olaleye, if any one of you see his, please, could you just spotlight him, any of the co-hosts? Tunji Olaleye.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I would like to say congratulations to Femi, my childhood friend and partner in progress. And congratulations to the co-author as well. On behalf of Ogun West Health Professionals, we'll be training 1 journalist and we'll be buying 5 books for leading media stations in Ogun State. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So 5 books. I'm just going to share on the screen the transfer details so that, and don't forget, please, when you transfer, if you could just please indicate what it is for. So 5 books for journalists for Ogun State. And then 21 journalists. So we're down to how many journalists left? Let's see who is doing a good math. How many journalists do we have left? If you put it on the chat box, you get a prize. How many journalists do we have left? Okay, people. On that note, I'd like to say thank you so much. The account details, thank you. There's Mrs. Moji Arufella, thank you. You didn't get it right. Olawatayo, no, that's not right. 4 journalists, no way. You're not doing your maths well. You're not doing your maths well. Okay, so Mrs. Moji Lefella to train 4 journalists, thank you. 120K and 100 pounds into the account. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Moji Arulefella. My apologies if I didn't call it well. I've tried. So 2 journalists were down to 14. Yes, Olushina Olubawale got it right. Thank you. You got it right. So we got 14. Tijolale said 17 now. Adaku said 12. Nah. We're just down to 14 now. So if 4 minus 16 is 12. Adaku got it. Adaku is right. 12. Okay. So we've got 12 more. And I'm going to be doing the countdown now, as in going. We're going to, if you have an organization, we're going to put your name, we'll recognize you, and you get a media mention. You will get a media mention. So going. Let's make sure Ayanike. We're going to give you 1 minute to give the vote of thanks. Make sure Ayanike Ojo. Where is she? Okay, there is Mrs. Dolapo Lasepa. We called you earlier. Where are you? We need to see your face. We called you earlier. Where are you? If you just unmute yourself, please. Thank you for noting. You want to get that name. Lasepa, Mrs. Dolapo. We called you
right
earlier.
Here. Can you see me? Good
Thank
afternoon,
you.
everyone.
Yes, we can see you.
I'm in the car because I'm just coming from the TV station and I needed to just log in. Dr. Luatai is a longtime friend and I'm an advocate, strong advocate for public mental health, primary care, mental health in primary care, suicide discussions and preventions. I love the book. I'm happy you wrote the book, and I'll be buying 10 for my agency.
10 copies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dolapo.
Undisclosed amounts.
I'm just going to share the screen so that you don't need to disclose it openly, because I think I know you're a public servant. Mrs. Dolapo is the GM of Lasepa. You've got the details, the account details on there on the screen. So, and it's also on the chat box as well, just in case you missed that, because I don't want to put the, it takes up a lot of space when we put the account details, when we share the screen. So I've just put it again on the chat box. So 10 copies, thank you so much. Is anybody going to train journalists? Let's train journalists. We have 12 more. Adaku got it right. 12 more. 12 more. Going. Gone. We can't do this forever. We need to round up for today. But we'd like to say thank you so much. And the person who will be saying that, thank you. On behalf of all of us, I've introduced myself already at the beginning. Okay, thank you. We've got Mr. Sam Awola Ogun. My apologies. I'm trying as much as possible to pronounce this well. On behalf of Truth Mandate. So this is Mr. Sam. Sorry?
Well done for getting that name right. That was
Awola Ogun. Yay! Truth Mandate to launch the book for 10,000 naira. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. And that's for 4 copies. You've got the account details right on the chat box. We can take it up from there. And please, donation should not stop. For some people said they wrote the account down. How much is it to train journalists? Thank you so much for asking. It's 30,000 naira, ma'am. It's 30,000 naira to train 1 journalist. So please, we have 12 more to go. The 30 that Chioma, who is the president of the Health Writers Association, that we intend to train. The training will be in the next. The training will be in the next 4 weeks or shorter. Between myself, I'm also a mental health trainer. I'm a mental health consultant. And I said I was going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm the mental health consultant and publicity consultant, whatever you want to call it, to these 2 young boys. I keep calling them young boys, Dr. Femi Oluwataya and also Martin Sifije. I think it's good. I think it's good to be called a young boy. I like it when people call me a young girl. I love it when they call me a young girl because it just makes me feel absolutely young. So I don't mind. I'm a grandmother. But when people I see it as a compliment. I know in Nigeria, the bigger you are, the more people respect you. But for me, I love it. Call me a young girl, I don't mind. Underestimate me, I don't mind. And then you know where I operate. I think it's better to be underestimated than to be overestimated. But thank you so much for everybody. So we've worked, my organization, News organization, are working alongside Health Writers Association, Retreat Healthcare, and of course the 2 authors to deliver a training Wow, Dr. Oh, Mr. Lapo is taking 6 journalists. Thank you. Whoa, 6 journalists. Wow. So let's see who will get this right. Let's see who will get this right. How many more journalists do we have left? How many more journalists do we have left? Mrs. Dolapo, the GM of La Cepa, has picked 6, going to train 6 journalists, and that is going to be 30 times 6. Who is a good mathematician on the floor? 30 times 6, just type that out. You never know, you might get, oh, Olaluwata, you're well done, you got that. Oh, Dr. Gocha, you didn't get that right. It's not 10 left, it's 6 that we have left now. With Mrs. Dolapo taking. Thank you, Lashbert family. It's 6 that we have left. So 6 journalists. So the account details are on there. Please don't forget when you're transferring, just indicate training. It's for donation for the book just mentioned, 10 books. I've written down the number of books that you've indicated that you like to buy. We're going to make sure that you get those copies. If you're here in the UK, you get them. And if you're in Nigeria, you get them. Mrs. Oluwata already mentioned earlier that she's going to be at your door to get them. Okay. She's going to be at your door to make sure that
Thank you
get your copies and she'll be collecting the money.
Thank you for letting me unmute myself. I am training 6 journalists because I'm a medical doctor, public health advocate. And in sending out messages, we've realized that both old and new media is a veritable tool, very important tool in changing mindsets, addressing stigma, and teaching people to identify early signs of anxiety or depressive disorders, which usually
Thank you
lead
very
to
much.
things.
Thank you very
So
much, Dr.
journalists,
Dolapo.
don't
We
let
take that
us
on board.
down.
Thank you.
Don't let us down, journalists.
We'll pass the message across. We'll pass the message across. That's why we're doing this training. So we have one more person who's indicated thank you. So we're down 5 journalists. Oh, Dr. Gocha, thank you. You are actually helping me to monitor the chat box. Thank you so much for that. And of course, Chioma, who is the president of the Health Writers Association, has said she's not going to let you down. The training is going to be very robust and would make sure that we'll be able to put measurable measures in place to see how far. We're going to do an evaluation before and after the training to make sure that the right information is cascaded to them. I'm a mental health first aid trainer here as well in England, and I have a certificate to train anywhere. But those are one of the things that we're going to be pushing forward in Nigeria as well. We need to change the narrative, and the narrative is about people understanding what mental health is, the type of language to use, and how we can destigmatize mental illness to help to promote early intervention. Thank you all so much. I'm going to call on Matron Ojo now. Matron Ojo, can we spotlight her, please? Who's going to give the vote of thanks? We need to round up now. You guys have been so brilliant. Wow. Thank you so much for staying on board. Matron Ojo, if you're somewhere here, if you just shout out and unmute yourself. Femi, if you know where she is, can you spotlight her, please? Okay, I think I can see her now. Okay, there you go, ma'am. Unmute yourself and you have the floor. So the vote of thanks delivered by Matron Anyonike Ojo.
Thank you very much. All protocols duly observed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the patients, staff, and the management of the Retreat Healthcare, Nigeria's first built private psychiatric hospital, I say a big thank you. We are indeed honored by your presence and participation. God bless you. Mr. Olusegun, Dr. Olubile, review of our precious book, The Morning After, is thought-provoking, both in theory and practice. I say a big thank you for that. You know, you've done a lot of job and you really open our understanding to know. We appreciate all the donors and the guests at the launch of this book. Also the distinguished senator, Honorable Tedro Osho. report to the enormous and inappropriate report of suicide. We all take this knowledge to our jobs, community, and beyond. Thank you once again. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you very much, Mitchum Anyonike Ojo, for that very brief, precise, and insightful summary of the day. And on that note, I don't think I want to say too much, has been said already. We'd like to say thank you to all of you. We had over 120 people who were on the platform at various times today. Thank you for listening to us. And it's a conversation, like I said at the beginning of today, that we cannot stop. And it's not a conversation that one person can do alone. The more we are, the louder we are. The more the voices, the more skills we bring in. I bring my skills in. Everybody brings their own skills in. The stronger we can be in promoting early intervention to mental health issues in our community. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to the authors who have brought us on the platform today. Martin, Fiji, well done. Thank you so much. All the various meetings we've had at very odd times. Martin is in America, and the timing is so awkward for him. Thank you so much, Femi, Dr. Femi Oluwatayo, for all the times we've had those funny meetings and we've spoken and we've had our little tips and all of that. It's been fantastic. I think you want to say something, Femi.
Yes, I do. Dr. Fashawe has just taken the rest of the journalists. She's taken everybody else.
Yay! Wow, fantastic. So how many, let's see who would win this. Dr. Fashawe, fantastic. Let's see who would win this. How many journalists are left after Dr. Dolapo's, Dr. Dolapo's? How many are left? Dr. Michael Dada is saying 4. Yay, Dr. Michael Dada, you got that. It's 4. 4 were left. Thank you. So Dr. Fashawe is training 4 journalists. And that is to the tune of 120,000.
0 left. Nobody left behind.
0 left after Dr. Fashawe.
Yes.
Well done, Dr. Delapo. You got that. You got that right. Wow. What a fantastic and beautiful way for us to end today. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. This passion is not a passion that can die. You can see the energy from all of us. You heard when Martin spoke, you heard when Femi spoke, you heard the statistics when Dr. Olugbile spoke. And can I just mention that it was actually Dr. Olugbile that connected me to Dr. Oluwatayo. And I need to mention that our lives are all dots. And we need to understand that networking is really important. And this was when in last year, December, I launched my book. I wrote a book as well. And this is a copy of the book. It's Breaking the Barriers, Early Intervention into Mental Health. And I sent the invite to Dr. Olugbile. And Dr. Olugbile sent a message to me and he said, you need to contact this person. He's a psychiatrist and he works in UK. He needs to be there. And I contacted Dr. Oluwatayo. And Dr. Oluwatayo, we chatted, and he attended the book launch at very short notice. My book is also on Amazon. If you just type my name, Ladi Olugbemi, on Amazon to come up with this name. It's a book that looks into different areas of mental health. There's also the bit about the role of governance. It talks about the early, very common mental illnesses we have. What are the barriers in our community and how we can break the barriers? And one of them, I just say, is the language and the narrative around media reports. And I was so excited when I got to know that this was what the book was about. And I was like, when Dr. Oluwatayo told me, I said, like, I'm happy to be part of this. He knows my passion around this, that in spite of everything, come and wake me up in the middle of the night. I mention mental health, my eyes will clear. And I will get up because there's a burning passion that we cannot keep quiet about. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Dr. Olugbile, for connecting. Dr. Olugbile is an absolutely brilliant man, a fantastic writer. You need to read his columns on Business Day. Fantastic writer. And you need to read the foreword he wrote in this book. That's why you have to have a copy of the book. You need to read the foreword. On that note, I think it will be okay for us we started with prayers. It will be okay for us to pray as well. For those, I'm a person of faith, and we do know that Dr. Luatayo, we are people of faith. It'd be okay to just thank God because we did pray at the beginning. Yesterday when we were doing our trial run, we had issues with with networks and all of that, and we're praying. And I think it'd be right for us to just thank God for taking us through today. It's almost 3 hours for taking us through today. It would be okay for me to pray because I'm also an ordained minister of the word. I'm also a reverend, I think it would be okay for us to pray. So if we could just say a word of prayer. Father, we want to say thank you so much for a very good day. It's been a long journey. We started since January, thereabouts, I think, and you have allowed this to happen. And we're grateful. We're grateful for making sure that everything coordinated very well today for every of the speakers that came, everything. We just want to say thank you, nothing more than that. Thank you for those who have indicated to donate money. Lord, provide for them. They've dipped into their hands. Lord, provide. They're giving to people who they do not even know. Lord, provide for them. We ask that you'd multiply them in 100-fold in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen and amen and amen. Thank you all so much. God bless you all. So it's okay for us to if you want to stay on, you can stay on, but it's okay. Enjoy the rest of your day. Over here in UK, it's an overcast weather, so I can't say go out and enjoy the weather. But enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all so much for still staying with us. We really appreciate your company and your presence and your donations. My friends, my colleagues, everyone, we very grateful to have you all. I can't really describe how I feel right now. Really fantastic. It's great to see the book launch going so well. Lade, you've done a great job. Ever ready, passionate about mental health. So well done, well done, well done. Thank you all. Have a great day. Have a great day. We'll see you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can the members of the team stay behind, please? Can the members of the team stay behind whilst everybody is dropping off? Members of the team, if you please stay behind. You know yourselves.
Goodbye, everyone. This is Fashawe.
Dr. Dolapo, God bless you. I love your glasses, Dr. Fash.
Oh, can you see me?
Yes.
I love your glasses.
Thank you. I want to say a big hello and thank you to Dr. Olugbile, who pushed me and worked me hard, and we got a mental health law. It took him 7 years to get it. Without him, there wouldn't be a mental health law in Lagos today. So I want to acknowledge him and thank him for this network. I met Dr. Luatayo through him 7 or 8 years ago, and here we are still talking. Thank you, Oga, if you can hear me. Thank you. Goodbye. I drop off now.
Thank you, Dr. Fashawe. It's really good.
Oga's face. Let Oga respond now.
I don't know. I think Oga is not on the call anymore. Oga has gone to another.
Nice to see your face, Dr. Fashawe.
Who is that?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Well done. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, I'm back now. I don't know what happened. Can the members of the team please stay behind? I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Mr. Afofe Mafobuno, we called you several times. Mr. Afofe, we called you several times, and I don't know what happened. It's not too late for you to donate if you can hear me. We called you to donate to support the cause. Okay.